Lesson 2.3 is Intro to Linear Pairs and Vertical Angles. These are different relationships of angles that we use all the time through geometry, so these are very important to understand, to be able to look at and just say, hey, I know what those are, I know what they're called. And the first one is called a linear pair. And in that word, you think linear means a straight line and a pair means two. So it's two angles that make a straight line. This is going to be kind of like a mini proof or proving why that happens. So I've got these little tools here. I mean, you could get one or you could just watch. They want us to find the measure of M in P. So there's a little dot. It's probably hard to see on the screen. There's a little dot inside of here. Actually, I'm going to have to go this way. A dot inside of here, and then you line this up on this ray. And then it opens up here 0, and then the numbers get bigger, and each tick mark counts by 5. And so that would go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on. So that's 90, 95, 100, 105. Then I see a little bit after, let's say that's 107. I know it's not exact because I'm not using my better protractor, but it's too big to fit on this page. Okay, and then let's say I measure this other smaller angle. Now I'm going to have to move it. Still the point there on that dot on that point, but this time I want to line up with this ray because my angle is opening up from this way. So there's 60, 65, 70. Oh, there we go. There we go. 73, let's see. Then it asks us, what are those two angle measures when you add them together? What's the sum of this plus this would be 180. That's the definition of a linear pair. There are two angles, and they're actually adjacent angles. That add to 180 degrees or make a straight line. All right, the other angle relationship, it's called vertical angles. I'm not going to take time measuring these, but they want us to know the measure of EIG, this angle right here. I already measured them, and I got 133 degrees here. Okay, then the measure of FIH I measured here, and I also got 133 degrees. And you can see in the picture that this opening and this opening look the same. And the measure of EIH would be this acute or smaller angle here, I measured and I got to be 47. And then also this FIG is 47. So this tells me two things. It tells me that angles that are opposite from one another in an X shape, so any two lines that cross each other intersect to make an X or like a bow tie, the angles that are across from each other, those are called the vertical angles. So two opposite angles. I'm going to say in an X shape. Okay, those are vertical. What also is important to know is that if I cover this up, these two angles here add to make 180. So these two angles would be called a linear pair. So these are a linear pair, these are a linear pair, and then the opposites are going to be congruent, they're vertical. Okay, so now let's use that knowledge to answer some questions here. It says, which angle number represents an angle vertical to angle MRJ? So I'm going to highlight MRJ. It's kind of, I don't love their pictures, so M to R is this point right here, out to J. So that's angle number 3. We need an angle that is vertical or opposite to it. So these are our lines that intersect. Opposite to it would be here at angle 1, LRK. And they would be congruent. So we're just going to put number 1. All right, number 2. Which angle represents a linear pair with angle DGA? So that's, again, number 3. That's weird. A linear pair. Now, there'd be two options. This would also be a linear pair here at G, but it doesn't have a number, so it's got to be here at number 2. These two angles, when added together, would make 180 degrees total. Okay, we got a few more to try. Number 3 says, which angle number represents an angle adjacent to angle CGB So that would be angle 1. Adjacent just means next to. It could be a linear pair. It may not be, but just the angle next to. So again, it could be G, but that's not a number. So it's got to be angle number 2. These two are side by side, which is this ray in between them. So we're going to say number 2. Number 4, if the measure of UYV, so that's angle 6 here, is 94 degrees, then what is the measure of TYW? There's T's all the way up here. T to this Y to W right here. What are these called? These are vertical angles, which means they are congruent, and that equal with a squiggle, so this would also be 94 degrees. So it's knowing the relationships and then what that means about the angle measures. Number 5, if the measure of angle CHF, lose my way. So that would be here at angle 4, is 103 degrees, then what is the measure of FHD? FHD is right here. So these two make a linear pair. So you would do 180 minus 103 because they make a straight line, which would be, that'd be 80 minus 3 would be 77 degrees. Because those are a linear pair. So again, linear pairs add to make 180 versus vertical angles, they are exactly the same measure.